Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The 100 and Orphan Black. Starting off with The 100, we have the team is kind of pretty much out of options. It's like now that Luna has said no, there's no one else to really turn to. It's like Clark is like, we need to go find at least check all the grounder villages, find anyone that has the blood and potential to become the next commander. It's like that's the only way we're going to be able to beat Allie. But essentially, like Bellamy's kind of telling her like we have to go back. With the way things are, eventually Allie will have control over everyone, and there's not going to be just. There isn't going to be no more Sky Crew. There's no going to be more grounders. Everyone's going to be under her control. And Bellamy has to explain to her, it's like, that's why we need to go back and check on our friends to make sure they're okay. It's kind of like Clark is just so caught up in the mission, she kind of forgot about that. She kind of walks off and runs into who else but the Ice Nation King. They end up capturing him. I mean, Bellamy, because essentially Clark wants to tank a bet because he's the only way she feels like they're going to get to Antari. That's their whole plan, to get to her, deprogram her essentially, and then give her the flame, because it's like she's literally the only other potential commander that she knows of, that they know of, other than Luna. So, I mean, I love the fact is that Bellamy ends up shooting him, because it's like the fact is that he feels pain is the only way to make sure that he isn't chipped. But to me, the biggest twist, I mean, it's not really a twist, because I kind of saw it coming, because I brought that question up last episode. It's like, did no one actually check to see if Jasper was chipped or not? And it's like, turns out, freaking chipped. Now, Allie knew their plan from the very beginning that, that basically the Ice Nation King was going to come with Clark as well as the Flame. It was just that it was going to be a trap to get to Antari. And it was just like, I was like, I can't, because I knew, I was like, okay, maybe Jasper is not. But there were hints to the fact that he was chipped. Because when he found out that girl, what's her name, Shay? When he found out what happened to her, he was just kind of nonchalant about it. Even though he was like super happy. It's like, I'm surprised he didn't go off on the team then. But he was super nonchalant about everything afterwards, and just kind of about the whole situation, not really and bothered by anything. He's like, oh, I've been happy. But it's like, I don't know, you don't seem like the happy he was back on the rig. He seemed more like, oh, I'm under control happy, which turned out to be the case, especially when he freaking stabbed Monty in the stomach. Didn't expect that. But he basically explains the reason why he took it was because he was essentially disgusted by what they did on the rig, because basically it was a very peaceful place until they came. But Monty's like, that was because of Allie and her people. It's like, it doesn't matter. Essentially, that basically everything happened, and he's just kind of like, he's not holding on to that pain anymore. It's like, because I was assuming it's like, okay, they finally got the chip in him through the torture, but I guess it's like, either right after finding out about what happened to Shay, he took it, or they did kind of force it in his mouth, because he was like, maybe they told him like, yeah, Shay's dead, and he was like, he didn't believe them, and finding out that she was dead probably pushed him over the edge or something. It's like, oh, you see all this devastation has happened because because you won't take what's happened to all these people because you won't take the chip and stuff like that. So maybe that finally pushed him over the edge. You even have a moment later on where he kind of takes Harper hostage, and it's like, if you don't let me in basically destroy the computer system that Raven's trying to boot back up to as a way to get to Allie. It's like, if you don't destroy that, I'll kill Harper. I don't want to do this to you. Like, I don't want to see you unhappy and stuff like that. That's kind of where we got left off of that situation. I guess that's like something we won't have to see how that's handled next episode. Because it's like, I highly doubt Monty's willing to lose someone else. Let's not forget he lost his mom already. It's not like, him and Harper finally got things going. So it's kind of like, I doubt he's going to be quick to let her go. Raven's going to be telling him not to, though. But on the other side of it, we have, like I said, the whole thing was a trap, so Clark ended up getting captured. We see the Ice Nation King dude. I keep forgetting his name. He's even said this episode. I had it written down, but I'm too lazy to look at my notes to see what it was. But basically, he got shot by Kane out of anybody. Whether he's dead or not, I don't know. That was the last time we saw him in the episode. He did get taken away, so maybe he got chipped and we don't know. Whatever the case may be, freaking Clark was strapped up and tortured by none other than her mom, because Allie's just sick and twisted like that. Her mom was like stabbing her like in the chest with a little scalpel, and then covering up the wound, I guess, to stop it from bleeding too much. Just enough to damage you, but to keep you from bleeding. And it's like, because it's just like, tell us what's happened. Tell us, the code to access the flame, and, we'll let you go. but it's like, Clark isn't going to be that easy to break. So just like, all right, bring Bellamy. She's still not breaking, but they're about to bring Bellamy. When who shows up? Murphy, Pike, and Indra. And basically that, like, he tells them what they have to do. Basically they have to come together and, rescue Clark and get the flame back. And Octavia, being the way she is, she's like, she sees Indra, she's like, why is Pike still alive? He should be dead. She's like, and basically she repeats what Murphy says. Like, basically they need to stick together. It's the only way they're going to win in this situation. But you could just tell it in Octavia. Like, the entire episode, you saw her just staring at it. It's like, I'm surprised, like, she didn't outright go after him, like at any point in time. It's like, I'm surprised she was able to restrain herself at all, because it seemed like at any moment she was going to go over and kill him. Because she even informed Indra, like, the fact that he killed Lincoln, because Indra didn't know about that. But even that, she's like, still, like, Indra has to hold herself back. Like I said, I almost felt bad for Pike, because it's like Bellamy and Murphy went up, and it's like, holy crap. Like, he's literally, I mean, there was Nathan and his boyfriend, but it's like, honestly, it's like, other than that, he's still stuck with two people who really, 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 really want him dead. There was a situation, now that I'm talking about Nathan, that him and his boyfriend were talking about, like, their future, essentially. And it was kind of sad because you saw them talking about it in front of Octavia. It's like, you guys could be a little more tactful about this. You know what just happened not too long ago to Octavia's lover, her boyfriend, and here you two are talking about your future. It's a beautiful thing, yes, but it's like, be a little more sensitive. And you constantly see Bellamy kind of looking over to her because he kind of understands, about that. But what really got me was, like, Allie does her normal tactics of doing whatever she can to try and break someone. And the best way she felt like was to do that was to use Abby, and was going to make Abby hang herself. What, not about to, like, literally had her hang herself. And then Clark's like, no, please don't do it, Mom. I'm trying to talk to any part of her mom that's still in there. And Allie's like, she's about to break. She's like, but Clark says, I'm sorry, Mom. And the entire time her mom's there, hanging by the rope, is like, no, it's like, she was in a position, like, she was like, basically, she's like, she was willing to sacrifice her mom. Not that she wanted to, but she knew she had to, because she couldn't let Allie get the second AI, because it'd be all over. There'd be no stopping her. And luckily, Bellamy and Murphy showed up in time to stop her, which is very interesting seeing those two together, because we legitimately haven't seen that duo together for a very long time. Because the last time we saw Murphy was when he left with Thelonious. So it's like, because they were kind of like the team, because like back in the very beginning of the series, Murphy was like his right-hand man in this whole situation. And it's kind of like crazy, like, to see how much both of them have changed. Neither one of them is like the same person they were. I did love Murphy's line in this episode. He's like, when this is all done, doing the right thing can kiss my ass. Because he's like trying to save Clark, stop all this shit from happening. It's like, God, like, it's like, the more I try to do the good thing, the more trouble it tends to like land, more trouble that tends to land like in his lap. So it's understandable in that situation, because it's like, you're just kind of tired of everything, and you just like, I might as well be the douchebag I was before, because he has like actually been a good guy, like, trying to do everything he can to stop Allie and keep everything under control. So, but they were able to save Abby, but sadly Thelonious whacked Antari with the pipe, because Allie couldn't let her live. And, she ends up being brain dead. So it's like the last surviving hope was, went with her, because there's no one else to take the flame. And that also left them stuck in there, because basically the plan is, while they go up, to basically blow up their entrance so they couldn't get out, basically, so they couldn't be followed up. When it exploded, Kane was down there, and Indra ended up protecting him, like pulling him out of the way of the explosion, because she knew, like, no matter what was done and what's happened, she doesn't blame Kane for anything, because she knows that he's an honorable leader and that he had nothing to do with what was going on, like all of Pike's actions. So that was it's very interesting to see her willing to, like, almost sacrifice herself to protect Kane. It's like, I guess as a warrior, she respects him as a leader, because he is a good and honorable man. He's just not himself. Because she even apologizes when she knocked him out earlier. She's like, I know this isn't you, Kane, and I'm sorry, and knocked him out. But now the group's trapped up there with like a whole bunch of controlled people coming to stop them. So it's like next week is the season finale, and I've seen sneak peeks of it, but I won't say anything. I mean, obviously, if you saw the preview, you know what's going to happen next episode. But it seems very interesting. I really have no idea how things are going to go down, like what's going to happen next episode, because no telling how this is actually going to end. So now moving on to this week's episode of Orphan Black. It deals heavily with the fact is that we have Sarah finding out that basically Felix's biological sister found him through basically the genetic thing she went through to that she signed up for to basically find out that she had Felix as a brother. Basically, whatever that is, it's connected to Brightborn in some shape or form, and so that makes Sarah very suspicious of her. Even has Scott, test their DNA, and I pretty much kind of surmised it before it happened, but it's like, okay, she turns out to be like his biological sister. Because, Sarah's thinking like, she just stumbles into his life around this time that she might be Neo-Lucian. Like I said, it'd be kind of interesting if she was Neo-Lucian, which I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I feel like that's going to be the thing. I knew that was going to be it. Like, oh, like she's his biological sister. Either they messed with the test somehow, like she already had that ready ahead of time just in case any tests needed to be taken, or she is his biological sister, but she's still Neo-Lucian. Just because to help kind of create a divide between, well, obviously to keep an eye on them, but if she needs to separate Felix from Sarah and then kind of create a boundary between them, which is like, this was what that essentially did, because Felix is super pissed at her about, this whole situation. She's like, oh, he even talked about it. He's like, oh, are you just naturally being an asshole, or is it that thing in your mouth that's making you like this? It's like, dude, you got to understand why she was acting like that, why it's like, oh, calling her paranoid. It's like, she has a right to be paranoid. Did you already forget about the monitor situation? Paul being Beth's monitor / Sarah's monitor, and then finding out that Donnie was Allison's monitor, and Delphine being Cosima's monitor. It's like, you got that regard. So it's like, is it too much for her to be like, yeah, there's, that this person in your life might actually be connected to all this? It's like, for one, she's not just doing it for like herself, she's doing it for you and everyone that's important to her. It's like, because she doesn't want you being so trustworthy as someone that's going to stab you in the back. Because for one, she also has to look out for her daughter plus her sisters, because it's like, she's responsible for all of them. It's her job to kind of protect them. I mean, originally that was Beth's job, but it became Sarah's job, and it's just like, you can't really blame her for being suspicious of her. I'm still suspicious of her. It's just like, I don't know, I feel like she played that kind of like druggy alcoholic too well. I feel like that's kind of all up front. I mean, Siobhan is kind of like welcome to the family, because like Felix was about to leave with her and just be like about to bounce, but it's like, no. Maybe we'll end up finding out the fact of the matter is she isn't actually Neo-Lucian, but it's like, I still don't trust her. And like I said, I get where Felix is coming from, because it's like, why can't you just trust me? Like, kind of like, I'm a good enough judge of character. But it's like, it's not even about that, dude. And it's just like, you want your own like, to me, it's like one reason why he's fighting Sarah on it so much. Because like from the very beginning, he was like, oh, you're still on his bullshit about her possibly being Neo-Lucian. It's like, she has a right to, dude. Let's not forget you as well as the rest of her family is in danger if like Neo-Lucian gets too close to you. But like I said, Felix is so fixated on finding his own family. Like, he's so adamant about, in a way, pushing Sarah and Mrs. S, as well as the whole clone thing, away, that, he's trying to like connect with his own biological family, that he's kind of ignoring the family that's been there with him his entire life, because he feels like, it's like, oh, I don't really have a place with them anymore. It's like, bullshit. You're still just as important to them as ever. You just, I don't know, I feel like you kind of lost sight of your importance. You kind of feel like you're not important anymore in this whole situation. That really the only ones that matter is Sarah, because like I brought up before, and he brought up, is the fact is that Mrs. S and him are related, because, her mom is Kendall, the one that, all the clones are derived from, both Castor and Lita. So in a sense, her and Sarah are related. So it's like, they're kind of their own family, including all the clones. So, and also in this episode, we had Cosima going undercover with Donnie this time, investigating Brightborn. I like how he handled that situation because he was basically like, I've kind of created, you being here is kind of, I don't want you kind of messing up this character I've already created. He's gay, but he's not like super gay. So he's like basically telling her, I need you to kind of pull back that whole, lesbian thing a little bit. And I think, and if I remember serves correctly, like Cosima was like, I'm gonna let that slide just because, okay, because of the circumstances, I'll let that one slide. But they end up investigating it, which interestingly enough, who did they run into? Freaking Crystal, the clone from last season, who was like a worked at a nail salon or something like that. She's the one that guy got to replace Rachel. Basically, they made it seem like Rachel was still in the building, like that she was kind of comatose. But then Delphine ended up pulling it off and seeing that like she still had her other eye, because you remember Rachel lost her eye because a pencil went straight through it. But that was the last time we saw Crystal, and because Crystal's still dumbfounded about this whole situation, they still haven't filled her in about the whole her clone situation. Which I thought she was going to get filled in this episode by Donnie, but it's like, no, Donnie was like, okay, like, I know your name and all this stuff about you, but it's like, I'm here to protect you. And for that, he got kicked in the nuts and karate chopped in the neck. So, because she's basically been taking self-defense classes because she kind of didn't want to be kind of kidnapped again. So, I love the fact is you saw when Donnie was trying to was giving her the massage, he was kind of like, because it has to feel weird to be touched, like, it's so seeing someone naked that looks exactly like your wife, the woman you love, and then like touching them. It almost feels like you're cheating on her in some regards. I think that's what it kind of is. It's like, got her face and her voice, not her personality, but still, I'm up here touching your naked body. It's not right. I think in some shape or form in his brain, he was thinking like, I'm cheating on Allison right now. We also got a little taste of it, not too much, but of Helena being gone. Basically, she sent a text to Sarah saying, "Do not worry about me, sister." And basically, Allison told her that she's no longer going. She's going, that she took some camping gear with her. And it's like, where did she go? It's like, obviously, she didn't go to Sarah, because that was like one of my, like, the places I was saying she was going to possibly go. Like I said, not unless she went to her boyfriend. I don't know. It's like, maybe we'll find out next episode where she went. But with the whole Brightborn situation, we found out about the leader of that. She's like the main lady. She's there in kind of the commercials for it. Turns out that basically when she was young, she kind of had like some immunity issues. And so she would basically get sick all the time. And no matter what her parents did, there was just nothing that people could do anything for her. And she basically had to live her life in a bubble. But basically, genetic modification, essentially, what's happening at Brightborn essentially helped her and made her better. And now she's kind of living life and enjoying it, essentially. We also had Susan meeting up with Cosima. Granted, at the time she was thinking that was Sarah because she was told that was Sarah. But actually got to talk to her and found out just how inquisitive Cosima is, because Cosima was looking too deeply into things. And the impression I got was that she was going like, I guess we're going to have to get rid of Cosima. Essentially, I thought they were saying like, we're going to have to kill her, which I think was the original plan, just because out of for one, Cosima's the smartest one of like the clones that we've come to know so far, because she understands the situation, like the whole genetic thing they're doing. She even snuck in and looked in on one of the pregnancies that they kind of set up, because apparently it's part of this test group that these people are part of. There's one particular girl that's like, okay, can I just get my money and go? They're like, that if you leave now, you're going to skew the results. You'll get paid once it's all said and done. So just sit here and relax, essentially. And one of the ladies that was pregnant was like, oh no, I'm like, please, no, let me get out of here. She's like, I went against God going along with this. God, forgive me. And the baby came out a little disformed. Like it was missing a nose, because apparently, they're trying to, like I said, the whole point of Neolution is to create perfect human beings. And it's just like, failures are fine. It's like they're creating these human lives and just kind of essentially tossing them away because they're nothing but, projects to be studied. And that kind of is what Cosima was coming off as. I was like, how dare you do this? Their human lives, they matter. Like, our lives matter. Because Susan was just kind of like, essentially kind of like, you're acting too emotional. You need to look at this scientifically. All the studying we're doing with what we're doing, it's going to help us, further down the line. It's even going to help us find a cure for you. Like, if you can give us Kendall's genome, then we'll be able to help, find a cure for all of you. Because truth be told, is Cosima, like, you can see it in her eyes, because it's not just for herself. She's the only one of their group that's sick now, but eventually, it might reach Allison, it might reach Sarah, and, that's a tempting offer. But truth be told, is they know on some level, it's like all you're going to do is try to make more test subjects. It's like, that's all she's like, because she finally gets to meet her maker. I mean, obviously she met Rachel's dad last season, but now she gets to meet the other side of her maker, Rachel's mom. And it's just kind of like, that's all she does, though. She looks at things very scientifically. She's very detached and emotionless when it comes to them. Specifically, they're nothing but test subjects to her, and that's sad. I mean, let's not forget she kind of abandoned Rachel ended up faking her own death, just because she was getting a little too attached to Rachel, and she couldn't let that go on because it was skewing the results. But which is a little hypocritical when we end up finding out that the caster clone that's with her, that's by her side, kind of her assistant, her ally, turns out that's not just her ally, that's her freaking lover. So which in my brain is like, that's why you want this whole Kindle thing. It's like, the bonus is you get to, create more test subjects and stuff, but more so than anything, you get a cure for your lover. That's what this is all about. It's like, because even Rachel had pointed out, the fact is that, like, she abandoned her mom abandoned her, but she went off and had this caster clone, kind of took care of him and kind of took him under her wing. So hypocritical. It's kind of sad, and it's just like, honestly, don't know where the situation is going to go. Like, because will Cosima, consent to it and kind of get Kendall's DNA for them, just because she feels like it's the only, because basically she's not going to make any headway with their limited resources, like, at their disposal. With her group, they'll have a much better chance, especially with Kendall's DNA, but it's like they have a much vaster resources than Cosima has at her disposal. And a small thing that kind of came up in this episode, the fact is that Kira kind of brought up the fact is that she was like, I can kind of feel what you and your sisters, she's like, that Helena's feeling sad, that Rachel feels mad, and it's just like, basically because her mom wants her to constantly, Sarah kind of keeps bringing up, like, oh, you need to talk about your, those dreams you had, and it's just like, Kira's kind of hesitant too, and it seems like these feelings she had are connected to her dreams. So they're not necessarily dreams, but there's some kind of vibe. She's kind of some epicenter for all the clones. Like, apparently she can feel what they feel, because she can even feel what Sarah's feeling too, and it's just like, what is she? What makes her so special? And it's like, to me, that's probably one of the biggest mysteries of this series so far. It's like, what makes Kira so special? What was that last episode? She was kind of like zombieing out, kind of going in a trance and just kind of doing stuff and kind of catching an attitude. It's like, what was that about? Maybe that was her kind of reflecting someone else's. Maybe, like, let's take for example Rachel. Maybe that's her, like, reflecting how Rachel felt. Maybe she acts as kind of a I don't know what the word for it, kind of is a conductor for their feelings. So how she is kind of reflected by how they feel, maybe. Oh yeah, and we also had that cop talking to Art, the cop that's connected to Neolution, and basically he brings up the fact is that, those cops last time were looking into Donnie and Allison for the whole, like, those murders, and basically their connection to selling drugs. And that he didn't really say what it was that they had on them, but it's just like, kind of like, things are kind of, leading to possibly some arrest or something like that. It wasn't really specific on what exactly proof they had against the Hendersons, because he was throwing it in Art's face, kind of saying like, oh, she looks just like Buffy. So it's like, I don't see it. It's like he knows that Art knows. He's just kind of pushing Art in that situation to kind of force his hand, I guess. He basically tells him to kind of back away from the situation because, let Beth go, essentially. So kind of interesting to see where things go from there with that situation. But that's really all I wanted to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.